we'll have, 100 people in the room, talking shop, networking. We talk on a topic, and normally the topics are organized in a way to help you understand the full life cycle of what a real estate investor's life looks like. Everything from wholesaling all the way to being the bank at the end of the year, if that makes sense. And everything in between, sub-twos, lease options, how to negotiate deals, all that good stuff. The purpose being so that at the end of the year, you're like, I have a really good understanding of how to actually do this business. And more importantly, you've met people on the journey that can help you on that journey, right? You might meet a business partner. You might meet a future person to fund your deals. You might meet your next spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend. You never know, right? So I've been running GRID. It wasn't called GRID at the time, but I was running my own investment group since 2006. And we've never missed a meeting since 2006, ever, right? Why? Because consistency in a community is really important. And so this is the beginning seeds of this community, if this makes sense. I have people in my network today that started with zero within my community, my Weston community. Zero knowledge, and today they own hundreds of units all throughout the DMV area. So that makes me feel really good. And I'm like, we created some serious impact, right? I've seen kids been raised in the room that are now doing deals with mom and dad. Like, yeah, that's pretty cool, right? So the idea is, the more that we come together as a community, we help each other grow. We never claim to be gurus or experts. We're just showing you what we're doing at the local level and helping you guys kind of succeed in that with each other. Get it? Understand? So that's great, right? Now, today's topic, I'm never going to follow this.
Okay,
I'm never going to follow this. Today's topic is like how to negotiate with sellers. Mark's a slide guy. He always gets it. Oh, right here. Mark always stops everything go back. And he's like, okay, listen, he goes back to all the important legal stuff. We're not accountants, we're not CPAs, we're not attorneys, right? Does anybody know what the DISC profile is? You know what the DISC profile is? Okay. The DISC profile is a personality assessment. And what you'll find is it stands for D-I-S-C, dominant, influence, stable, compliant. It's kind of what it is. We're all made up of all of the pieces. Typically DIs or IBs are more in sales, and the SCs or CSs are more in operations. My business partner, Mark, the reason I bring this up is because he's a high C. He's high compliance, he's high analytics. He's the one that analyzes all of our investment properties, right? I am, on the other hand, more of a high D, which is a shoot, ready, aim, right? That's my personality. And then he normally gets, me out of trouble. So you need both when you're doing a business, right? You need somebody to say, let's go, and then you need another person that says, hey, let's think twice on this. We already bought it. So let's do it. So yeah, tonight's topic is about how to negotiate with motivated sellers, or how to negotiate just in general, right? So let's talk about what is a motivated seller, right? Oh, actually, before we do that, sorry, let me just start at how I normally start. I'm giving you like the high level of where. The way I like to normally go about doing this is like learning a little bit about you guys in the room. Does that make sense? 30-second elevator pitch. Do you guys normally do this?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, 30-second elevator pitch, right? And we'll just kind of start with you, right? Yeah, there you go.
I'm Christy. I've actually been to one of your meetings. It was about a year ago. Second time here. Really just trying to get into the game. And I feel like I have a lot of education. It's gaining traction and action.
Yeah.
But for everyone, that's the most difficult part, and I find that to be true for myself as well. Currently, I have a couple single-family homes that I acquired over time, places that we lived in, and now we live out in Occoquan. So there's that. I feel like I'm kind of done with the single-family scene, ready to move on. Location is, of course, like toss-up great. Like you stay here and you try to really get into this game where you're really relying on other people's money, or does one look elsewhere in a market that's more affordable and capitalize on whatever capital one has individually. There's a case to be made for both. lack of traction, right?
We'll talk a little bit about that tonight.
Right.
So like I'll weave that into our discussion, right? Of just what I've seen, what we've done. You know, I interview a lot of people on our podcast to see what people are buying around the country. So, yeah, sure. Thanks for sharing this. By the way, if you have a deal to share, this is also kind of the, hey, I've got a deal I want to sell. Right? Go ahead.
Well, I'm Luis. I am a realtor here in Virginia. I am a beginner. I have never done any investments on my own, at least. I was one of those people that went to RIAs and then got caught up getting I bought like an education program for a couple $1,000 a few years ago, actually, before I became a realtor. And then that lured me into getting my license and being full-time with this. So now I feel like I'm at a place where I feel like I should start, and that's what I
Sure. By the way, let me just say, I believe in buying education 100%. You want to know why? Because when you spend $2,000 or $3,000 or $5,000 or $10,000, which I know, right? Yeah, it motivates you to get a return on that, right? And you're like, okay, let's do it. So I don't want you to think that I'm anti that. I'm definitely for that. It's just that I also believe that all the information you want is literally one cup of coffee away from somebody that already knows how to do it and they're willing to share it. Right? That's why we do this. So welcome. Go ahead, sir.
Hello everyone, my name is Wessolleck, and I've done retail work a long time. I've done some fields recently, and very recently I just learned how to get access to 0% APR on business credit cards that you can use to leverage to invest in business. So I got access to that kind of money, and I'd like to share that with others how to really get 0% business credit cards fast using business credit score LLC, and use that to put cash out in investment projects like real estate also. So I'm just looking to get involved in making investments in real estate projects with that money.
By the way, one of the big things I want everybody to do is remember when you do this, you're actually building a business, right? So when you do this, you're building a business. So tonight, everybody in this room should be in everybody else's database. So that would mean you need a database, right? And some of you might be like, well, what's a database or CRM? Like customer relationship management tool to keep in touch with people. It's very important. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, okay. James, by the way, hi everyone. Cybersecurity expert, realtor, also investor. I have a few investment properties. Currently, I'm looking to focus my investment property strategies on multifamily units. Just recently closed on one out of state back in April. Actually back in March.
Where?
In Ohio.
Ohio, okay.
Yeah. So I'm kind of looking for multifamily units, low point of entry, more doors under one roof is what I'm looking for.
Sure.
Right. So I'm hoping to learn about different techniques to find properties and engage owners that don't have their properties on the market. So often the less properties and things like this.
Right. And by the way, owning properties in Ohio, multifamily properties in Ohio, will come with its own set of challenges, right? So we'll talk about that because it's one of the questions you probably have, right? So now you can ask in 6 months from now, how's it going? How's it going? What are the challenges that you know about?
Also, last month, James became a doctor, and he helped his brother buy his first home.
Became a doctor?
Wow.
Yeah.
Good month.
Yeah.
Busy man.
Very busy, yeah. But yeah. Thank you for that.
Oh, you should have been a doctor?
I'm not a medical doctor, but
PhD.
Yeah.
Awesome, good for you.
thank you.
Oh no, that was the wrong pronunciation.
Yeah, that's right. Great. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Dineen. I'm a mortgage loan processor, so I'm in operations. And this is my first time here. I just love learning, so and I love growing in every aspect of the work. So that's what I'm here for.
Welcome. Awesome. Good to have you.
Vanessa. I've been in the mortgage industry eons ago. I worked at an appraisal company. I had my realtor's license in 1990. and I didn't know what to do with it. I was a kid. And I worked in the mortgage industry, and now I work in a law firm. But it's something that I've always been interested in, and these two, we're all trying to figure this out together, and maybe we can do something together, or separate, or navigate some waters together, or something.
Awesome. Like I said, that. Oh, I guess you referred to that, but we can let you guys.
I'm Jason Atkins, my wife Christy. We own a custom construction company in Warrenton, Virginia, and we've been dealing with customers for a long time. And I'm really, really tired of that. 27, I'm just kidding, but I feel like I'm older than I am. We've got a rental property, commercial, and a residential, and we're just looking to expand on that. And get into some multifamily units as well.
You want to be your own customer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are ready for that.
Yeah. You know, we own a construction, my business partner Mark, the analytical. So he's been with me 15 years. And he started flipping houses with me 15 years ago. And then what happened was, as the market got more competitive, we went into construction. Probably about 6 years ago. Because we're like, we can do this too. And it's a hard business. Construction's hard, right? Only because the margins are so much tighter, all the moving parts with clients, and it's the kind if you're doing custom stuff, right? And people are nitpicking everything, right? So I feel like I understand where you're coming from.
So you want a custom awning? You
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Staging cover?
Anyway, so introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Rayford Lee Brown Sr. I am the owner of DMV Cleaning Services. I've been in the cleaning services business for 40 years. I started when I was 16, working as a contractor assistant and pastor. So I started my cleaning business. I really never really worked for anybody. I worked for the school system. That's how I got my foundation. But while I was in that school system, I became familiar with contractors. And I was a contractor's assistant for 10 years as I was starting my cleaning business. But what I did was I got to meet quite a few people. And this was back in, I'm 61 now, so this was back in, obviously, 70s, 80s, probably. And what I learned was, I asked, how do I get into this flipping game that y'all are into? What are you doing now? And I said, cleaning carpets, cleaning floors. So there's not a floor I can't do. I mean, coverall, Janet King, all these people call me to do the training. But they asked me would I work for them. And I said, I ain't working for nobody. But what I did was I started bird dog as I was doing starting my cleaning business. And then I moved up and did a couple of wholesale deals. And I am a member of several churches. My brother is down in Atlanta with my other brother who's in Durham, and they are real estate investors. So before the pandemic, we did a couple of jobs, wholesale jobs down here, and I put my money in. But what I bring to the table in this atmosphere is a lot, because I have a cleaning company, and my office is in here. And I think
yeah, we met this week.
Yes,
Yep.
you told me about it. I do construction cleaning and janitorial services, floor care, sanitizing, power wash, landscape. I have two handymen under my umbrella. See, I don't do this stuff anymore. I'm basically, I have everybody doing it. But what I also do is the construction cleaning is really the piece that anybody in this industry, real estate agents, can use my service. I got a staff of 10. I got a team. I got a lawyer. I got bookkeepers. I got everybody that I need. And what I've been doing in the past when it came to real estate investing, I've been piggybacking off of everybody else and allowing them to bring me in as a walk on, wholesale or being a bird. I'm a bird dog. So that's the reason why I met my man and I said, don't forget it's going to be great. It's always a Saturday, and we can finish in the carpet clean up in the church. But I said I got to go.
It's always good to have somebody in the group that can help with that. I just got done buying a house in Front Royal that I posted on our GRID page, or maybe I just posted it for. Well, anyhow, the house was full of everything, right? Dog had not been let out in like a year, cockroaches everywhere, water house, right? I'm sure you've seen it all, right?
I've seen everything.
Yeah, you've
Proper
seen it.
cleaning, put the roaches up out the property as a clean.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
mean,
worst thing that could ever happen.
So this house that we just got done buying, I took the camera and all of the cockroaches are just huddled along the edge of the living. I mean, hundreds, right? So we're in the process, but when it gets done, it'll look beautiful, right? So, welcome. Thank you so much. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, my name is Mark Hawthorne. I have a contracting business, home services mostly. Trying to get my first flip. I've been doing a lot of work with Zach and Pat and other investors, but I really want to get my first one. So it's like my fourth meeting. I ain't got nothing yet. No, we're working on it. So, yeah, I'm a home contracting services, and I do everything. All renovations, remodel work, construction work, everything. I've been on this since 2003. Yeah, I'm getting licensed DC, Maryland, and Virginia.
Oh, great.
So I'm trying to get my first one.
You'll get your first.
It's gotta happen.
Yeah, it will happen. And once your brain, everybody heard of the reticular activation system,
Right.
right? Once your brain starts looking for opportunity, it sees opportunity everywhere. You just have to allow it. And you need to understand what opportunity looks like, which is why we're going to talk about this
Right.
tonight. What does a motivated seller actually look like, sound like, act like, right? So, well, I skipped over. Go ahead.
My name is Marlon. I just recently got my real estate license, and I'm also an interior remodeling contractor.
All right, contractors in here.
That's
Go.
what we do.
Okay. Welcome. In the back.
Ignorance Brown, and we are investors, Zach and Patrick. We work a lot with them. They got us into our second rental property. We have two. Plan on turning our home that we currently live in into a rental property.
Awesome.
And we're just looking to try to get out of the 9 to 5 as fast as we can.
Sure.
If it was up to me, I'd go find an apartment. But big area, but that's my vision.
That's cool. I love it.
And I'm 81, and it's my husband's name.
Very nice to meet you. Awesome. Brad, what did you choose?
Okay, I'm Zach Wessolleck. I'm one of the victim leaders, and along with Patrick, we own Procavis Properties, we're a real estate investment and real estate sales company. And we own a handful of rental properties. Patrick does most of that for us down in Roanoke. And what I'm looking for right now, anybody looking to buy a waterfront condo in Woodbridge? Know anybody?
My name's Patrick. We own Occoquan properties. We're looking at DXP. We do long-term buy and hold, so we specialize in the 14 of those. And then we're getting our hands dirty with some flips right now. We have two going on right now. One up here, one out in Roanoke. And yeah, right now we're for just the day job side, but the investment side. Anyone that has a house that doesn't go through with it, just using pay cash and close that.
Look at that loafer right there.
That is. Make an offer for a immediate response. That's what that is.
Where that say?
Patrick's never watched any of the slides. I'm Tim Dineen. I'm one of the GRID leaders. My day job, I'm in mortgages, and I work with Jenny and Veneer. I've been doing it for about 10 years, and we do everything from first-time home buyers with down payment assistance up to multi-million-dollar multifamily. And I have a couple long-term rentals, one short-term rental. I've done some lending, some private lending, and really I'm looking to use the skills that we're learning and find more value, right? Trying to leverage money where I can get cash flow without depleting all the money. And yeah, Jenny.
Yeah. Go ahead.
There was no traffic today.
Welcome.
We had invested in the calls. We have one in the country. We're looking to get out there one, but it's changed, right? So I think that was everything.
And I'm Jenny. I'm a mortgage loan officer. I work with Tim. I'm also a GRID leader for GRID Valley Investors in Roanoke. I have always focused on first-time home buyers, but with Patrick and Zach, very much been involved in their investment experience, and just coming to GRID Potomac has connected me to more people, and I've got a client now working on 2 DSCR loans, so dipping my feet into that and finding more ways to help investors.
Let me touch on a couple things real fast. We heard some acronyms thrown out tonight, and you're probably you might be wondering how much they're talking about. Right? If you do have questions, this is a safe place to just ask questions. Right? People are just learning, right? So you may not know what a bird dog is. Right? Bird dog is somebody that says, hey, I see this property, it looks like it needs some work. And if you tell that to, let's say, a wholesaler or rehabber, and they acquire it, they'll pay you a couple $1,000 just for intent. That's what a bird dog is. A wholesaler will grab a contract, ratify that contract, sell the contract for money. Right? So they'll never even buy the property, they just sell the contract. I remember I bought a contract from somebody in my grid group for $100,000. Never did anything, except put it under contract and sold me the contract. Now I made $100,000 as well, so I did all the work and all the rest. But the person that controls the deal controls the terms. Right? The person that controls the inventory controls it. So I bought the contract for you for $100,000. Great, I'm happy you made the money. Right? You've got rehabbers, you've got agents, you've got people in construction. Right? All of that though is all active income. This is what I want you guys to think about. It's all active income. It's where you make your job, money to pay bills, and all the rest. What I hear many of you wanting to do is convert that active income into passive income. Buy assets that pay you back. Do something one time, and they get paid for it forever. Wouldn't that be nice? Right? Wouldn't that be nice? And so I call that the income flip. And that is very, very possible to do. One step at a time. One property at a time. One relationship at a time. Right? And so that's the journey that you guys are on. People always come to me like, I want to fix and flip. I want to, they watch HGTV, they get all excited about the flips, and I'm like, that's cool, right? That's not really investing. Investing is owning assets that pay you back over time, right? And so that's what I want your brain to be. Now, in order to find great deals, you need to find motivated sellers, right? You need to find big motivated sellers. And so, what is a motivated seller? Why don't you make this a little interactive? What do you think a motivated seller is?
Somebody with a property that needs to get rid of it.
Why do they need to get rid of the property?
Maybe upside down in it, it could be landlord problems.
Yeah.
Need finances for, I don't know, surgery, anything.
Yeah.
They need money.
Debt, divorce, death, right? There's like the 3 Ds right there. Is there another D?
Downturn.
Downturn, there you go.
Downsize.
Downturn, right? There's there's typically an issue in the household internally, depression, right? Or there's an issue with the property, or there's a combination of the two, right? And so there's a circumstance that's there. And when I first got into this business, it seemed crazy to me that somebody potentially would be selling their property for 50% of its full market value, right? I'm not saying it's 50% of its existing as is status, but 50% of what it could be, right? And I was like, who would do that? Well, what happens is life. Life happens. You need the cash in 15 days, 20 days. Something happens, life plans change, divorce happens, and you're like, you know what? I had this one lady say to me one time, what are you going to do with the house? And I said, I'm going to renovate it, we'll sell it, it's going to look beautiful, you can come back and take a look at it. You'll, like, it's going to go through a transformation. She said, you should just burn it. Right? What does that tell you about their psychology around the house? Right? Now this property had, this person had not let out dogs, so this is kind of a common, you start seeing these themes. She had not let out, there was a room that was dedicated for the animals to go to that. But she had multiple dogs and cats, right? What was that? And then there was stuff everywhere, right? Kind of like a hoarder situation, stuff everywhere. And the house just becomes too much. It becomes a weight. It becomes an anchor. And they just want to be done with it. It's just very emotional for them. And they can't get past that. And so your job is to help solve that problem, right? The house that we just ended up buying was a trap house. Anybody know what a trap house is? Drug house. I didn't know what it was. I thought, oh, this is a trap house. So like, what's a trap house? Right? But in the basement, which was unfinished, there was multiple beds. So, you know, bed next to the furnace, bed next to the hot water tank, little kids' shoes, toys everywhere. Like, I was like, man, this is sad, right? It's bad. And so when you call, or when a motivated setter calls you, you can normally ask just a series of questions, and you will hear like the motivation, right? So, am I just skipping?
You're good.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Okay, I'm just gonna go with how I so imagine that either you call somebody or they call you. And the way that they would call you is from market. Okay? The way to find these kind of deals, I'm gonna give you a little tip right now. It's zoning a market. Zoning a market is zeroing in on a target area, then owning the mind share of that area, then networking with local people and nurturing your database, and then engaging the community in some kind of service, right? And so zone is an acronym that I use to go after a target market. So let's say, what would that look like? It could be picking 4 or 5 communities here in Woodbridge that you are just going to mail to every single month. You know that they have inventory that turns over. And then your job is just to dominate that. And the way you would dominate that is through calling, texting, and direct mail. Door knocking. It's not more complicated than that. Everybody understand that? It is not more complicated than that. You cannot be all things to all people. You have to decide which target market you're going to go after. So that's called zoning a market. So just imagine this. Everybody has a general idea of what maybe value is around the house that they live in. Would you say that that's the case? You kind of know what that is. So let's say, let's say you know in your neighborhood houses sell for $450. And in every, by the way, in every neighborhood, in every community, there's always that ugly duckling. There's always that property that from the outside you can tell that there's issues. Normally, if there's issues on the outside, there's issues on the inside. You'll probably see like weeds growing in the gutters, grass is overgrown, right? Cars might be up on jacks. Like, those are the things that you want to look for. Now, can you look for all those things all over the DMV area? No, again, right? It's just too much. So you got to focus in on a small geographic area. Not a new community. Community's been around a long time, right? Because you start, okay, those are the communities where people have lived 15, 20, 30 years that they start turning over, right? And so you want to zone a market, you want to do direct mail, you want to call, you want to text. Once you start marketing to a neighborhood or an area, you can never stop. The number one mistake that investors make is that they start, stop. Start, stop. Realtors make that mistake too. You can't do that. So you have to pick a small area first. Something that you can afford long term to do, right? Okay, so when you start doing that, people call you. What happens is you can ask a series of questions and deal with motivation. So let's kind of go through what that might sound like, right? That might sound something like this. They'll say, hey, I saw that you buy houses cash. And I would say, yeah. You can ask your name. I'm going to say, Tim, nice to meet you. Tell me a little bit about your situation, right? Tell me a little bit about what you're looking to do, and certainly if I'm not the right person, I'll point you in the right direction. What did I just do by saying that?
Help.
I'm just going to help. Like, I'm not a shark. Sure. Tell me what you're looking to do. If I can't help you, I'll certainly point you in the right direction. Make sense? So psychology around that. Sure. And then you'll say something like, tell me a little bit about the house.
It needs some work. It's not really ready to sell.
So it needs some work,
yeah.
Right? How much work do you think it needs?
A lot.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about that.
Not really comfortable talking about it.
Okay. I may not be able to help you unless I understand what you need from this. And so I'd love to chat with you a little bit more about it, if that's okay.
We could do that.
Okay. When's a good time for us to talk if this isn't a good time? Is there a better time, or does this work for you?
We can talk.
Okay, great. So tell me a little bit about the situation, and again, if I can't help you, I'm going to try to point you in the right direction. So how much work do you think it needs?
We've just lived there a long time. It's there's a lot of things that need to be done. I don't really know how much it's going to cost, but there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done.
Okay. What are you looking to sell the property for?
What my neighbor got.
Okay. What did your neighbor get?
400.
400. Okay. What was the address of that property?
123 Main Street.
Put it in, right? Let me take a look at it real fast. Say, oh, this one looks like it's got newer kitchen, newer windows. Looks like it's been upgraded.
Yeah, it was.
Are you looking to upgrade your property to try to get that value?
I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah, normally the properties that we buy require work, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
But the seller doesn't do anything with
Yeah.
it. And we would just come in and we would buy them, we would buy it cash.
Yeah.
And we would renovate it and sell it for that price for that fixed up property. Right? It sounds like you're trying to sell it for full market value, but potentially not do any of the work, right? Or am I misunderstanding that?
That's fair.
Well, then I'm probably then not the right person for you. What you probably want to do is talk to a realtor that can help guide you through that process.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to come up with a $40, $50, $60, $70,000 to fix it up to get that value.
Yeah.
And then pay the commission to the realtor in order to have that happen. Wait 5, 6, 7 months for all of that to get completed. Is that what you're looking to do?
I mean, do you have any other ideas?
I mean, another way to do it would be to assess what its as-is condition is, its fair as-is condition, and then somebody like me, whether it's me or somebody else,
Yeah.
pays you cash, and you can close whenever it's convenient for you, and you can move whenever it's convenient. Leave out anything you want to leave, take whatever you want to take, and we make it very easy. So our solution is speed and convenience
Yeah.
for a seller.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're looking for speed and convenience, then that's how I can help you.
Yeah.
If you're looking for maximum value, then what I would suggest you do is call a really good realtor. If you don't have one, I've got an awesome realtor that can help you execute that plan.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of the I solve problems and give people speed and convenience guy. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Do you think it warrants maybe us sitting down and having a further discussion about it?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Why don't we schedule a time? What does your Saturday look like?
We could be on Saturday.
And then,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
without booking a plane. Okay. So what I was doing in that was, you know, anybody like fishing here? Like a fish? Giving it some line, letting them feel like they're in control, taking it away. Like, hey, I may not be the right person for you, right? Now, typically they're not used to that. People are trying to close them.
Sure.
So everybody's like, what can I meet with you? What can I do? Right? That's how you actually, when you're fishing, you just pull it too hard, right? So, but you heard there might be some motivation there, and I would have gone deeper, like I didn't know we were going to the role play. Normally, what people normally do is that they'll say something along the lines of 99% of the calls you're going to get are going to be people that are looking to just avoid paying a realtor, and they want top dollar. And you're definitely not the solution for that. Does that make sense? You're going to then refer them to a realtor. You say, hey, it sounds like a beautiful house. It doesn't sound like it needs any work. Because normally people are like, oh, my house is great. Everything is wonderful. It's fantastic. I'm like, it sounds amazing. Why don't you hire a realtor to help you sell it? And they're like, I don't like them. Like, all they want is money. I don't want to pay the commission. I'm like, well, you'll get the most money if you go that route. See, I offer people speed and convenience, and that means in exchange for equity. I'm upfront with people about that, right? And a motivated seller, guess what they say? Okay? A motivated seller says, I want speed and convenience. I don't want somebody coming and walking through my house and judging me. I'm ashamed of what the inside of my property looks like right now, and I don't want everybody to come through. I just want, somebody to solve the problem. Does that make sense? When I first got into this business, I didn't understand that's the game. That's the game. When I first started, and somebody would call me, and we were going through that role play, I was just excited somebody would call me, right? So then I was like, when can we sit down and eat? And I was just booking an appointment. And then I'd go to the house, and guess what? They wanted maximum top value, top dollar. And I was like, okay, they were motivated. Why did I spend time? I got in the car, I spent time away from my family, I drove there, right? Spent an hour. It's like 3, 4, 5 hours. And you're like, oh, this happened to you before? I see you nodding, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not right. So what you have to do is you gotta qualify it in a way that makes them feel comfortable, right? And sometimes people aren't fully comfortable on the phone sharing information. So the idea is to build some rapport, give them some line, take it away, try to offer solutions, bring the future into the present. That means bringing the future into the present means, why don't you just sell it on the open market for top dollar with a realtor? Like if you put 40 or 50,000 into the property, and then you wait 30 or 40 days to find a buyer, you can sell it for more money. What did I just say, right? When I said that, what does it do? They will have one or two reactions. They'll say, okay. At which point, you weren't dealing with somebody that was motivated, right? And you try to refer them to somebody else. You try to monetize that. But if they're like, well, I don't want to put 40 or 50,000 into it, and I don't want to wait 2 or 3 months for the property to be marketed. Okay, let's have a discussion. Make sense? So what you want to do is you want to bring the future of what that might look like into the present. That's an important thing. Anybody have questions around that? Right? Go ahead.
Do you offer, do you have like scripts of what you just
Straight,
like,
no,
like,
oh, yeah, you know what, if everybody goes, I think it's like a grid pass. If you go to GRID Investor, if you go to GRID Investor website, Jessica, my business partner, somewhere has a free login to a lot of like different things that we have, whether it's scripts, contracts. There's a bunch of stuff that's in there for free. I don't know what button it is. Maybe you can look it up. We'll look it up. Give it to you.
GRIDinvestor.com.
GRIDinvestor.com is a website, and somewhere in there is a way to sign up for what we call the GRID Pass, and it just gives you access to a lot of that, right? But here's the general framework of any appointment, right? I call it calibrate, educate, facilitate. Calibrate, educate, facilitate. This is whether, by the way, whether you're an agent, or whether you're an investor, or whether you are in any kind of like relationship where you're trying to create influence. Calibrate just means seeking to understand. That's what that means. Or another way to think about it is like mind meld, right? Like if you're into like Star Trek, like mind meld, right? It's trying to understand what the other person believes to be true. Okay? Because what they believe to be true may or may not be true, right? Their sense of reality of what's possible, or what their house is worth, or what they want to have happen, may or may not be things that we can do, right? And so I need to understand that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask a series of questions in order to truly seek to understand. So some of those open-ended questions are, tell me a little bit about your situation. Why is this a good time for you to sell? Tell me more about that. Why do you believe that, right? Why is it, just like seek to uncover. And the more that you ask questions, very open-ended questions, the other person is just going to talk. And they're going to feel heard and understood. And you want to validate. You don't want to disagree, right? Well, you want to just say, interesting. Tell me more about that. Okay. How did you come to that conclusion? Wonderful. Right? And then at the end of all of it, once you understand, say, do you mind if I share a little bit about what I see happening in the market and how to maybe solve what you're trying to do? So now you've asked for permission. And this is where the educate comes in, right? You say, well, it sounds like you're trying to sell your property for full market value. And yet, it also sounds like your property needs $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 worth of work based on what you told me. My concern is those things don't match up. And a couple things have to happen. Either you need to put in the $30,000 or $40,000 to get that full market value, or you need to sell it to somebody that can fix it up to extract that value, right? Which means that you would potentially have to sell it for less than what you want to sell it for. Are you willing to do that, right? Because if not, that's okay. I just want to understand, because I may not be the best person for you. And again, you see how I'm like giving them some line? And because you're never going to convince people to do something they don't want to already do. They just have to feel like they trust you and that you're going to give them some ideas and solutions to this. So seek to understand and then educate them about how the market actually works. Now let's say they're adamant about wanting full market value. So in negotiation, it's one of always two things. It's, okay, well, if you want that price, then maybe what we can do is work on terms. Does that make sense? Terms. So what are terms? Give me an example of like terms. Right? What would that might mean to you?
Timeline to close.
What's that?
Timeline to close.
Timeline to close, but that doesn't really help me as an investor if I lengthen my time to close. Like, I need to somehow create a win-win in this situation. So it could be, well, if I was to buy this property at this price, I would need to go get a loan from a private lender, a hard money lender, which means that I would have to spend money on that hard money, and I would have to pay interest and all the rest. What if I was able to give you closer to your price, but you allowed me to be able to do work on your property, right? And you're essentially like, you're going to give me the rights to be able to work on this house, and then sell the property without me, like sell the property and I make the spread as the investor. So we agree on this price, I do some work to it, and then make the spread.
We did that twice last year.
And that's called like novating. I don't know what you guys call it, but like, that's novation, right? You can actually sign a contract for them at one price, and then you get another price, and you make that delta.
All that hybrid subject too.
Well, there you go. Hybrid subject too. And by the way, the first time I did that, mine was like a hybrid subject too, right? I made $50,000. I just did that last month, and I made $78,000 in 30 days. Our construction company also made money, and our agent company also made money in that process. But it solved their problem. It also solved mine. I didn't have to go get $510,000 from a lender. That makes sense? Now, the only way to do this is to understand all the different tools available to you as like an investor, right? So you need to learn what is subject to, what is lease option, what is wholesaling, fixing, like all that stuff. This is why I give you all of it to kind of understand, so that when you sit down with somebody, you can, it's almost like you can be a true fiduciary to understand how to solve the problem. If you only are an agent, if you're only an agent, and you're trying to solve somebody's problem, what are you thinking? I'm going to help you do what?
Sell.
Just going to help you list it, right? Help you list it. And you probably know one or two ways to list it. As is, or hey, maybe do a little bit of work and sell it for more. But if you're an agent that understands the investment game, you understand real estate from a 360 standpoint, and you can offer different solutions, right? If you're an investor and all you know how to do is, I'll buy it for cash, speed and convenience. And by the way, I was like this for a long time. It was like my key was cash, speed and convenience, right? And then I had a good friend of mine who was like, oh, I buy properties at 90% of ARV, right? I'm like, and by the way, that's not, like in the world of like fixing and flipping, that's not good, right? You like, typically 70 cents on the dollar minus renovation is kind of like the equation. I was like, how are you doing that? Like, are you making any money? And he's like, yeah, I buy all of my properties subject to the existing financing. I deal in the creative. And I was like, well, tell me more about that. And I think you guys had Nadia here talking about
Yep.
right, sub-twos. And Naya was one of the first that introduced me to the idea years ago. And I was like, oh, that sounds nice. And I just ignored it, right? I think 2010 she's when she told me about it.
Wow.
And then today, I'm like, dude, this is like one of the best things since sliced bread.
Sure.
Especially because, if you don't know what subject 2 is we all know that interest rates are higher than what they have been, right? Well, you have the ability, in my opinion, to go back in time, find properties that have 3-4% mortgages on them, and essentially buy those properties and take over the existing financing, not assuming the financing, right? In fact, the note stays in their name, but you get the deed and you make payments on that. But now what you do is you own the property, and they're almost like your business partner. They carry the debt. And I didn't understand the power of that before. Today I do. It's like I just bought a house that has a 2% loan on it, and it's been amortized for 15 years. So think about that. It's like every time a payment's made, more than 50% of that payment goes towards principal. And it's a 2% note. And you're like, how is it that it's a 2% note but it's 15 years? Because she modified it at some point. It was a modification of the right? So, so we talked about motivated sellers. Who else is a motivated seller? Right? People that might be going into what? Foreclosure. As the economy continues to sputter, right? We'll see more and more people move into foreclosure. And normally, you'll have about 30 days from the time that they get here in Virginia, like in this area, where you'll be alerted that, hey, this property in this area is going into foreclosure in the next 30 days. So, anybody know how to get a hold of those people? So,
Skip trace.
yeah, skip trace is one, which means like find their phone number and call them. Would be one way to do it, right? Another way to do it would be door knock. Another way to do it would be leave a letter behind. Another way to do it is do all of them at the same, like do all of them, right? And what you'll find is that normally you'll get a call about 4 or 5 days before the auction date. And you're going to have to try to solve the problem quickly. Which means you're going to have relationships that can move quickly. You're going to have relationships that can bring you the money quickly, right? Access to capital that's like, hey, I can supply the money if needed. You're going to need contractors that can maybe do the work quickly. You're going to have a relationship with a title company that's going to say, I can do a quick title breakdown to see what other liens might be attached to this property, right? So relationships in this game really matter. So I'm going to encourage you to develop a great relationship with a contractor, lender, right? Title company. These are people that need to be in your squad, right? Realtor are people that need to be in your squad. So pre-foreclosures are a lot of what we've been buying most recently, and then we buy the properties sub to. Now imagine, when somebody's going into pre-foreclosure, I just want to give you the psychology of this, right? Go back to motivated selling. If somebody is 30 days away from the auction, what's happened so far? What's happened so far?
They've got a lot of warnings.
Have they had so let's talk about that. Yeah, what's happened? Right? Yeah, this has probably been a problem for a long time, right? Because maybe they solved it once or twice. Maybe cousin, sister, uncle, brother, mom, dad bailed them out one time. Maybe the bank modified the loan at some point, right? And then they got in trouble again. And now there's 28 days left. They just received a notice that this property is going into foreclosure. Do you think that they're full of energy, or do you think they're tired? They're tired. This thing has been what around their neck? It's been a massive anchor. And so do you think that they're in a position, psychologically, what do you think they want? Out. It's really dumb.
Maybe. You've seen them be in denial.
Yeah,
Totally in denial. And then trying to talk them through that and convince them you're at the 28-day clock and you need help is tough.
And so what happens is 28 days turns to 5 days, and then they're like, okay. And by the way, there will always be some people that are just like off the deep end.
Let it burn.
Let it burn. They'll just, I remember I had this, talking about letting it burn. I had you get good at solving problems in this business. This is what, you're a problem solver. When you enter into this business, you decide, I'm going to solve people's problems. I'm going to have empathy, and I'm going to solve people's problems. That's where you're going to come from. Okay? And so, husband and wife going through a divorce. They have $100,000 in equity in the property. And guess what? He doesn't want her to have any money. So he's willing to lose $50,000 so that she doesn't get $50,000. Right? Out of spite. So then you have to sit down and be like, brother, I know. I know. But this is $50,000 in your pocket. been at like, I still remember like Puerto Peru signing contracts, like trying to make deals happen. Like that's the business that we're in. We're going to solve problems. At the end of the day, we settled. You got 50. She got 50. Well, you got 50,000. It's good. It's good. Right? Everybody wins. So, so I've seen people just out of spite, like, want to let it burn, right? Or they'll just destroy the house because they're so mad at the bank, and then leave.
Right.
So the idea is you try to sit down, have empathy around the situation, and then offer solutions that help. Can you save everybody? No. But you will save some along the way and create good win-wins in that process. Right? Who's got questions around maybe buying pre-foreclosure around that? Okay. So everybody know you could go, I'm going to give you a little tidbit on how to find some of these. Go to the Washington Post Classifieds. I'm going to show you just a really easy way to go to the Washington Post Classifieds section. In there, in the trustee notices, foreclosure notices, you'll see the notices in Woodbridge of what the properties are being sold. That's right. It's not what I want you to concentrate on. What I want you to concentrate on is the attorneys listed on those notices. Because by law, they have to advertise. So you're going to see, like, what's his name? White.
Yeah, he's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, Sam White. You're going to see Sam White in one, right? So what happens is, and there's like 5 or 6 big ones, right, that always get the majority of them. So you can have a virtual assistant do this for you, or you can do it yourself in the beginning. I did it myself in the beginning. And every morning, you go to all of those 5 or 6 sites. I'm sure a program I can figure out how to get it correctly. Right? I'm just showing the inexpensive way to do it. And every day they update those foreclosure lists on their website. The attorney's websites. On the attorney's websites, they list them. They show if they're still active or they've been reinstated, right? If they've been reinstated. And so you can go there every single day, and you can create your list, your target list. Now here's where zone comes into play. You're going to see lots of properties in lots of different areas. You can't possibly know all those areas. You're going to have to choose Woodbridge as an example. And you're only going to pay attention to the ones that are becoming available in Woodbridge. And you're going to copy down those addresses, and then you're going to do like the only 3 things you can do, which is prospect, network, and market for those deals. That's the only thing that you can do. So prospecting is calling, texting, door knocking. It is like being more face to face. Networking might be like, you might look this person up and be like, oh, who's this person? You might go to LinkedIn. LinkedIn might tell you that they might be connected with somebody that you know. You could call that person and be like, hey, I see you're connected with this person. You don't have their phone number by any chance. You don't disclose what's going on. I'm just trying to get a hold of them. I'm trying to figure out how to get to the source and you can't get the phone number directly. Skip tracing is like, oh, I'll give you another, truepeoplesearch.com. So truepeoplesearch.com is a free website, and the data is really, really accurate. You can go in there, put in somebody's name, email address, and it will give you multiple phone numbers of who's associated with that address. And then what you just do is call. You just call. So when we first started, I made my wife door knock with her 2-year-old daughter in the backpack. Because I was like, who's going to turn away a mom and a 2-year-old kid, right? Yes, that guy, right? That would be the call. Ultimate leverage. And so she would door knock, and then she would be like, and then I'd go and I'd help close that deal. Right? But the majority of all the wires actually came from networking. Because everybody knows somebody or a house that needs some work. Right? So I got called yesterday from a person in my group, and she's like, hey, this contractor just told me about this property that's got mold in it, and when he talked to the owner told her that the property is going into foreclosure in 15 days. And it's a property in Great Falls that is worth 1.8 million fixed up, and she will sell it for 950. Right? I'm like, okay, well, how much work is it? She's like, I think it needs around $250,000 worth of work. So then I gave her tips on how to like secure that contract and feel confident. And she, by the way, she's never done a renovation ever, never done a fix and flip. So it's scary. It's $1 million one. I'm like, don't worry, I can find you the money. This is what I want you to say. This is how I want you to act. I mean, if there's that much margin in this, then you're going to find the money for this project, right? So I'm like, just run it past my partner to make sure that the comps are good. But so deals come from networking all the time with contractors, your mailman, your hairdresser, your friend, like everyone. So you just tell everybody what you do. Tell everybody what you do. Okay. Has anybody read the book Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss? Yeah. Great book. When you are when you are working and helping sellers, when you're working with motivated sellers, there's a couple books that I think would help you in that process. That's one of them. The other one is you can't teach a kid to ride a bike at a seminar. Okay. So you said earlier, I've been taking this training and now I just, you already have time to move, right? Like, the only way to really do this, to learn how to do this, is to go have hand-to-hand combat at kitchen tables and mess it up and learn from it. Like, practice as much as you can. Read that book. Read, can't teach kids about it, role play. Because if you do spend a lot of money in marketing and you start getting leads coming in and you do have a motivated seller, you know what the worst thing is? Screwing it up. Screwing it up, right? Because you don't know what to say, you don't know what not to say, you don't know what you're doing. So before you spend a lot of that money, put your energy into understanding like, what questions you're going to ask, right? So here's the other thing. Don't be afraid to ask somebody how much they own mortgage on the phone, right? Don't be afraid to ask the tough questions. They might say, well, I'm not comfortable, right, giving you that information. And say, I understand, right? The only way I can understand how to truly serve you and help you is to understand more about your situation. For example, if your property is worth $500,000, but you owe $600,000 on the property, now you're upside down. And that's a different solution. That would be a short sale. And I just want to understand, that it's not that. You're going to look quickly. Well, it's not bad, right? Like I only owe $250,000 on it. Okay, great. Right? So now you get into it. You need to tell people why you're asking these questions, right? You cannot truly take somebody anywhere unless you understand where they are, right? So you need to understand where they are, and then through that, move them. And this is in anything. Selling mortgages, as a real estate agent, as an investor. Right? So it's calibrate. Remember I talked about what's the next one? Educate, and the last one? Facilitate. The facilitate is just like, it sounds like I can help you. If that's what you want. The next step would be for us to sit down and have a meeting. Right? So I can assess and look at the property. But the next step is we write a contract at a number that's acceptable to you. Right? Does that sound fair? That sounds fair. Right? When's a good time for us to sit down and do that? So you facilitate the next step. Right? So if you always just think calibrate, educate, facilitate, you'll move somebody through that process. A lot of times people don't know what question to ask. What's the next question to ask? Right? Or what's the next step I need to take? So it's like, you just have to ask for what it is that you want. Right? And by the way, I'll leave you with this. Empathy and tone is the most important thing in this game. Right? Who's ever been turned off by somebody's tone before? Okay. Do you know what your tone sounds like to other people?
No.
Everybody know? What's that? Yeah, no.
No.
So I think that this is where you start working with people ahead of time, and you start trying to practice different tones, especially like whether it's on the phone or whether it's face to face. And be like, okay, this is what I'm trying to communicate. Am I communicating this? And I say, well, not really. The way you said it made me feel not great, right? Everybody knows empathy. Like, if I said, hey, give me an empathetic tone, you would probably be able to give me an empathetic tone. You know how to turn that on, right? Also, the tone of curiosity. Can you tell me more about that? Okay, I understand. I understand. It's empathetic tone, right? You said, well, tell me more about that. Right? It's an aggressive tone. So you have to be careful with your tone on phone and face to face. Because the majority of all communication is nonverbal. Right? It's not so much the words you say, it's how you say them, how you communicate them. Right? What's your power pose? What's your shrinking pose? Right? What's your mirroring and matching, building rapport? So to get really good at this game, you need to understand that side of the equation when dealing with a motivated seller. You can have a motivated seller on the other side all day long and completely F it up because your nonverbal communication is all wrong. So let's get your nonverbal communication right first. Matt Nagel on my team, he's been with me, I think Matt's been with me for about 14 years. Right? Matt is the most successful salesperson within our organization. He's amazing. But when he first came to Casa, his tone was crazy. It was like, you're like, this is Matt Nagel, how are you today? And I was like, oh my God, dude, you're just freaking everybody out. That's the scariest part on the planet, right? And he didn't understand your. So what I love about Matt though was that he said, okay, I need to learn this tone. And I gave him some basics like downward swinging is authority. Upward swinging is questioning. Like you're not quite sure when you upward swing. Right? So I'm like, you got a downward swing. And so he went and watched a ton of videos on downward swinging, upward swinging, how to control a conversation, all through time. So, I mention that because I don't want you guys to mess it up. Like when you get in a room with a motivated seller, you need to know what they sound like, and just to get cut to the chase, they're going to tell you, I just want to be done with this property. I want to burn it. I'm having a nasty divorce and I want to just get rid of it and sell it. I already, and by the way, there doesn't need to be distress with the person. Sometimes they inherit property, right? It's worth, as is condition, $500,000. It's owned free and clear, right? If it was fixed up, it's going to be worth like $750,000, $800,000. They just got a $500,000 windfall. They live in Ohio. They don't want to do the work. They're willing to just sell it for $500,000 cash, with easy, to a guaranteed buyer, and take that money and go. But the only way to know that is to ask questions, right? So, what questions do you have? I guess is my question at this point. Right. And we went all off. So. Oh, so here are some of the questions.
I would add that book about the inflection in your voice, upward and downward. The book is really helpful. When you're talking to your wife, she's upset with you, and you're just like, I know everything's gonna be all right.
You just don't understand.
And you just keep your voice. Because if you go, what do you mean it's my fault? It's not my fault, it's your fault. And then you just elevated the situation, and it's a very helpful book. It's a great book.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
Is that true, Christy?
But now she knows, so it's like, you get away with anything.
So yeah, so that's Chris Voss's book,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so for those that don't know, he was a FBI hostage negotiator. And yeah, and so what happened was he went into a Harvard class to work on negotiation. And and he like crushed everyone. What are you doing? Right? How are you killing everybody? And then he realized that he built a skill set negotiating with hostages. So I mean, talk about when things really matter, right? Getting hostages back. And there was all sorts of things in there, right? Like agreeing, right? Not disagreeing. Like, okay, I hear you. I understand.
How to open-ended questions
Open-ended
to bring out information.
Yeah.
You know, don't close the loop. Don't push anybody into a corner, because then they'll get.
Well, here's the one I love, right? I need $6 million by 12 o'clock. And he would say, well, how am I supposed to do that? Like, I want to help you, but how am I supposed to do that? So now, they're trying to solve the problem. And he's just like, man, I want to solve this problem for you. Like, how are we going to do that? How are we going to do this? Like, it's almost like we partner, right? And the person feels understood, heard, and like, we just feel, okay, let's how am I supposed to do that? Right? And so, it's fascinating. Go through. I recommend watching all YouTube videos around it, reading the book, and again, that book, Never Teach a Kid. You can't teach a kid to ride a bike at a seminar. Written by David Sandler. Not to be confused with Adam Sandler. It's a great book. It was one of the first sales books I read that talked a lot about negative selling. Has anybody ever been negative sold in here? You know what that is. Right? It's just purely like the takeaway. Like we all seem to want things more when somebody says you can't have them. Right? And so you know when somebody's trying to sell you something, your instinct is to what?
Right.
Like resist. Right? But if you're like, well, I'm not sure that you're qualified to buy this. What are you talking about? I am qualified to buy this. All right? And so, you know, you got to start learning about human psychology, which is why I love this piece, right? Especially the investment piece, because there's so much involved, especially with dealing with sellers that have very difficult, challenging problems. Right? When you decide to go down this route on the investment side, you know that you're going to be dealing with problems that most people are not privy to. Who's done more than, like, let's say 5 fix and flips in your deals a year? Anybody? Okay. You'll start seeing, well, I know in construction you deal with probably all different types of people, right? You see everybody. But really, when you're dealing with this, like, sellers that are going through this, there's like, life is difficult and messy and ugly. And your job is to figure out a way to solve the problem in a way that really helps the other person. By the way, millions of years of evolution have led us to be able to make split decisions on people very quickly. In order to do what? In order to do what? Stay alive, right? And so, sometimes those judgments are right, sometimes those judgments are wrong, but if you can actually enter into every meeting, every appointment, with the spirit of wanting to truly help. So, you can go into the meeting thinking, I want to get this deal. When you think that, what do you think your vibe is?
Aggressive.
Your vibe's going to be like, somehow, they're going to feel it. They're going to feel it. That's where the term commission breath came from, right? It's like, I gotta make a sale, right? People sense that. If you go in wanting to truly help and serve, they feel that too. They feel that. So you need to go in, rewire your brain sometimes. Maybe you do really need to make that sale. But you got to rewire your brain and be like, I'm just here to serve. I'm here to help. I'm here to seek to understand. I'm going to calibrate, educate, facilitate. I'm going to offer some options. But I am the best person to help them in this situation. And if you enter into the meeting that way, and make it feel it, make it sense, right? Make sense? That makes sense? And by the way, I always tell people, like, I just want to help. If I can't help, I'm going to try to point you in the right direction. So tell me about, as much as you can about the situation. If I can help you, tell you I can. Can't, I'll tell you that too. And I'll make sure I guide you. And when you take that pressure off, like literally, like people just open up. I mean, when the foreclosure crisis happened, I specialized in short sales. Anybody done short sales in here?
I got a short sale.
There you go. Right? So, yeah. And so, well, what was it a long process?
Actually, it was, so in 2008,
Yeah.
we put a contract on a foreclosure through Light.
Okay.
It took forever. We were supposed to close, we weren't closing. Another property down the street came open. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law went by and looked at it, and they said, yeah, you want to look at it. We went by. The woman 9 months prior had paid $385 for this house in Montclair, and we got it for $285. And it probably took 4 weeks to close.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
we had been at 6, 7, 8 weeks on our foreclosure.
Yeah, you got lucky.
And so we canceled the contract on that and did this one, and
I had some that lasted 2 years. Right? But I did a lot of short sales, and this is where I realized that people would call me, and I would go through this script, and at the end, they were just like, well, can you help me? And I'm like, I think I can help you. And I was just taking listings over the phone, helping people get out of these situations. But I was truly trying to figure out, how do I get them out of this situation, right? And I realized, oh, that's the key. It's just, you just want help, right? So as a real estate investor, if you're leading with helping and solving problems, you'll crush it. Yes, ma'am.
So we didn't, it just dawned on me, I helped my mother buy a short sale, and we actually did that through relationship building. Our contractor at the time, was like, I don't think he was seriously investing and doing what we're trying to do now. And he was in trouble because at this point, the short sale wasn't happening. And I'm still not sure what they pulled in the back, and I was like, hey, my mom, no, the contractor came to us and said, my mother was looking for selling her house and moving closer to me. This house is for short sale, April, I'm renting it. Is there a way you can help us get out of this? Because if we don't make the short sale happen, it's gonna go on foreclosure. And that's how that happened. And as a matter of fact, they even came back somehow. They gave my mother an additional $5,000 off because it had to happen like within a matter of days. And thank God my mother had good credit. We were able to move quickly, sign it, get the houses in her name, and done.
So I would call that the powers in the network, the powers in the relationship. It's actually one of our core values within GRID, is that it's relationships that make deals happen all the time. In 2008, I bought a lot of properties that were in foreclosure, and some that I always remember. It was interesting. It was this young man. I'll tell you a quick story on this. He calls me up and says, "Our house is been foreclosed on, and I need you to buy it." He was like 16 years old at the time. But he called me. First, he called me and said, "Hey, I got your number from this attorney." He said, "I interned for the attorney, and my mom's property is going into foreclosure, and we need you to buy it." He said, "You buy houses because we don't want to move, right? She's my foster mom. She has 3 other foster kids. We don't want to move." And the more I dug into it, I realized, oh, the property had already been foreclosed on. Okay? So if anybody knows that process, when the foreclosure already happens, there's nothing really I can do. The property is going to again assign to an REO agent, an agent that specializes in selling properties for the bank. And then at that point, that agent is just going to put it on the open market, and may the highest bidder win, right? Well, this kid called me twice a day, every day for about 7 days. You have to buy the house, you have to buy the house. I was like, I don't know who the other agent is. Well, finally, somehow, he got the phone number from who the agent had been assigned to. He talked to that agent. That agent called me and said, listen, if you put in a contract, it's a reasonable contract, you know, I can get this house for you. I ended up buying this house. It never hits the open market. That family still lives there today. I became friends with that kid because I was like, this kid's special. Like 16 years old. It wasn't his mom calling me, it was him calling me, right? And this kid ends up starting a technology company when he's like 21. Makes a gazillion dollars. Because he's just like relentless. This kid's smart, relentless, right? But we still own that house today. It came through a relationship with an attorney. And I find that all the best deals out there will come through your network, which is really important for you guys to build a really big network, right? So the only two ways that you're ever going to get deals is you either become a marketing machine and you learn how to prospect, network, and market on purpose, or you get really good at the networking piece and you let everybody know what you do, which in itself is a form of marketing. And when you get really good at the game, you do both. Does that make sense? You have like marketing that's going out all the time, and then your network knows exactly what you buy and where you buy it. By the way, I never want anybody to say, I'm a wholesaler or I'm a rehabber. What I want you to say is, I'm a wholesaler in Woodbridge. Or I'm a rehabber in Woodbridge. Whatever your target area is what I want you guys to focus on. Right? Because their brain will just be lumped in with everybody else. So, yes, powers of the network, powers of the relationships. With that, what time do we have right now? Snapchat. 7:56. 7:56. Okay. I believe that you guys need to, if you don't know each other already, get to know each other. You never know who in this room actually has to sell a property themselves, right? Has a property to sell that they want to sell. And you should all put each other in your respective databases. If you don't have a CRM, if you don't have a database, you need to get one. Right? So you need to set up bi-weekly emails that go out to your entire list about what you do. If you do that one thing, like, you're going to get deals. You're going to get deals. Right? I want you guys to remember this. The bigger your list, the bigger your bank account. The bigger your list, the bigger the account. If you only have 5 people in your network, how much opportunity do you have? Not much. Not much. You have 50 people, a little bit better. You have 500 people, a little bit better. You have 5,000 people, a little bit better. You have 50,000 people, a little bit better. Like our database has 65,000 people at this point. Right? So every time we send out emails, what do you think happens? Something happens. We get construction work. We get our private lending money. We get we buy a property, we sell a property. Like, the bigger your list is, the bigger your opportunities. So I'm going to encourage you guys to go build a list, market to the list, and then you guys now know what a motivated seller looks like. The next pieces you need to put together are, well, what's the tool that I'm going to do to solve that person's problem? I think next week we're talking about how to rehab for profit. Right? Next month. So it's like, how do you actually find an asset and maximize the revenue that comes out of that asset? Right? Okay, great. This would be awesome. Well, remember, your goal, your ultimate goal as investors, by the way, you are all investors because you're in this room. You're investing in yourself, which is the first investment. You're investing in other assets. Your goal is to buy assets that you hold on to forever. Makes sense? For a long period of time. It's how you build actual wealth. It's not fixing and flipping. Fixing and flipping will make you good money, but owning assets long term will make you really, really wealthy. Right? And if you do sub-twos right now, that's a technique. You're actually able to buy as if you bought something 4 years ago or 5 years ago. So it's like time travel. It's the best way to do it. It's like time travel. I'm not sure when we're covering subviews, do you know? Or you did it earlier this year?
February, yeah.
No, the first.
Well, we've got
That
that.
was the first one.
We've got that recorded. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys, we should just send the reporting out, because I think it's important for you guys to figure out all these different.
Sure.
Okay, guys, we should just network with each other. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate it.